Hello dear students, I am Dr. Sanjay Pagar, Associate Professor, Department of Geography. Dear student, I welcome all of you in this online lecture series on behalf of Maratha Vidya Prasarak Samajas, Careers, BH Commerce and AM Science, popularly known as HM College, Nasik. Dear student, this is our class of M.Sc Geography Part 1st, Semester 1st, and the code of this subject is GGUT-113, and the title of this subject is Principle of Economic Geography. Dear student, this is our lecture number 3rd of this subject, and in this lecture we are going to discuss our first chapter, that is Introduction to Economic Geography. And today we have a subtopic for discussion, that is Scope of Economic Geography. Dear student, in our last lecture we discussed about definition and the nature of economic geography. In our today's lecture, we will discuss about the scope of economic geography. Dear student, you know that economic geography is a very important sub-branch of human geography. Economic geography deals with the economic life of man with relation to environment. Especially, we are talking about the physical environment that we have around us and that affect on the economic life of man, means economic activities of human being. Economic geography is not a static subject. It is a very dynamic subject, and also the scope of this subject is very wide and very broad. The core part of the scope of economic geography is to study the influence of environment on the economic activity of the man. This is the very important part with respect to the scope of economic geography. Let us discuss scope of economic geography shortly with help of the various points one by one. The first point is that the temporal aspect of distribution of economic activities. It includes the detailed study of distribution of human activity developed, how it has developed since ancient period to present period, that we discuss in the study of economic geography. That is very important first point. And second point is spatial aspect of distribution of economic activity. Economic geography also focus on the distribution of economic activity by considering a spatial pattern from local level to global level of each period. It means what? In this topic, what we are expecting? We are expecting how the economic activities of human being are distributed on the surface, that we study from place to place. Means what type of the nature we have of economic activity that available, that present on the surface from various place to place, for various place, that we study in the economic geography. This is a very important subtopic that we have, that related to the, with respect to the scope of economic geography, we study the spatial pattern of economic activity that are distributed on the surface. Third very important, that factor affecting on economic activities of the man. So this is the very important, the core point of our study. When we are talking about the scope of economic geography, that is very important. Especially, we have numbers of the factors that affect on the economic activity of the human being. It may be primary activity, it may be secondary activity, tertiary activity, or quaternary activity, or the quinary activity. Each and every activity is affected by various physical and the cultural factors. Especially, we are talking about the physical environment, geographical factors such as the relief, climate, soil, water bodies, availability of the minerals, the forest, and these are the very important. Geology of that for particular reason is very important when we are talking about the development of the economic activity. And other factor also very important. It may be economic activity, economic factor such as labor, transportation, then commerce, and then the infrastructure available in that particular region, the banking facility, and then the road network, communication facility. These all are very important, and also some technological factors are also very important. The development of the technological, then human resources, each and everything are very important when we are talking about the development of the economic activity. Mean this is a very important core point of the subject of economic geography. Therefore, the affecting factor on economic activity is the main core of our subject, that is the economic geography. So therefore, in the scope of economic geography, the third point is very important. Then number 4 is classification of economic activity. Especially, I just mentioned about there are numbers of the economic activity, but broadly we can categorize all the economic activity in the 5 category, like a primary activity, like a secondary activity, like a tertiary activity, like a quaternary activity, and the quinary activity. This all activity we study detail in this subject. So what do we mean by primary activity? What are the characteristics of the primary activity? What are the example of the primary activity? In the same way, we studied the secondary activity, tertiary activity, quaternary activity, and the quinary activity that we study in scope of economic geography in detail. Then we have fifth point is very important, that is the study of natural and the human resources. Dear student, this is also very important because you know that the resources are very useful for economic activity development. Each activity requires some resources. Without resources, it cannot develop or start at particular level. When this type of the resources are available, then definitely that are useful to develop the boost economic activity. For example, if a region having a various minerals availability in that particular area, definitely the mining activity will be flourished there, or the numbers of the industries also going to develop there. Suppose if any region have a coal as a resources, then we have the iron resources, and then other type of the resources, the minerals are available, then definitely the company or the company like our industry like iron and steel will be definitely going to flourish. It means what? If the mineral resources are available at particular area, then definitely the mining activity will be developed, the industrialization will be developed in that area. Or suppose a region having a very good fertile soil, then definitely agriculture activity will be flourished. So it means what? And it depend on what type of the resources are available in that particular region that give support to particularly economic activity. So on the basis of availability of the natural resources and human resources, we observe the development of the various economic activity at that particular area. Then we have the location of economic activity. This is also very important. Dear student, you know that there is a uneven distribution of economic activity on the surface. It means the spatial pattern of the economic activity are not observed same everywhere in the surface. You know that some countries are very developed, some are developing, and some are very backward. It means what? The location of economic activity we not observe everywhere the same. If you're talking about in case of Maharashtra, in Maharashtra also, we have the regional pattern, especially the economic activity has too much flourished in the eastern, at some part of the western Maharashtra, and we are in the northern Maharashtra, but the Vidarbha and Marathwada, as respect to the economic activity, are not too much developed as compared to rest part of the Maharashtra. It means what? So why this type of the difference or the gap is available when we are talking about the distribution of economic activity? Because when we observe the economic activity, that definitely that develop an area which is favorable for their development. So on other hand, you will observe that some regions are not developed with respect to the economic activity. Why? Because the local condition of that particular area is not suitable, not favorable for economic activity in that area. Dear student, the two are very important example, or you can say that the model or the theory that are explain the location, how the location of activity are affected by the various factors. Especially two are very important models, or the one was the Vantonans model of land use pattern, means how the land use pattern of various economic activity are observed around any city. And second is Weber's theory that location of various industry depend on the various factors. With help of the land, labor, and the resources, the Weber explained his very important, the famous locational theory of industry. So it means what? In both theory, Van Thunen's model and the Weber theory, both are an ideal example of how economic activities location is decided with help of the various factors that we are studying detail in the economic geography. So the location of economic geography, location of economic activity as a very important part of our study of economic geography. Dear student, then why the factor of the production? Yes, this is another very important point that we study in the economic geography. The factor of the production means it includes the comprehensive study of land, labor, and capital. Dear students, these three factors are very important, and these three factors are known as a factor of the production. And the availability of this factor, we observe the nature of the production and the development of the production. So therefore, when we are talking about any industry or any economic activity, that time, if the land is suitable, labor are skilled labor, or the availability of the labor is good, and the capital also good, then definitely these three factors, if are favorable, they support, then definitely the production of any particular economic activity will be going to increase or develop on a large scale. Therefore, the nature of this factor, that is land, labor, and capital, are studied detailed in economic geography. Then we have the eighth point, that is development and the regional planning. Dear student, you know that the process by which a nation improve the economic, politics, and the social well-being of its people, then it is known as economic development. And another point is regional planning. So regional planning is very important for the regional development. Therefore, these both two factors are very important during the study of economic geography, that part and parcel of economic geography. The economic development can be measured on the basis of some criteria, and then whole region can be categorized in some group, such as low developed region, medium developed region, and the high developed region. And in other words, you can say advanced country, developing country, and the underdeveloped country, or not developed country. So therefore, this type of the economy, on the basis of economic development, we can categorize the region. So numbers of the criteria were used for that. So but when we study the economic development, that time the economic development, its nature, its meaning, and the thing that regional planning, these both two factors are very important. Therefore, these two factors are studied detailed in our economic geography. Dear student, the various scholar and economic geographer try to explain the nature, the scope of economic geography with their own. But two very important economic geographer, that is, one was Bankston and another was Van Rooyen. These two geographers try to explain the scope of economic geography with their own words. According to them, economic geography investigates the diversity in the basis researches of the different part of the world. It tried to evaluate the effects of the differences of physical environment have upon the utilization of these resources, and therefore how you are going to utilize the resources on this process, on this thing. The nature of economic activity development is depend. If we are able to utilize the whatever resource we have in our region, if we use them properly, then definitely it will be helpful for the development of the economic activity that they highlight in the study. It studied the differences in the economic development in the different region or country of the world. If we see the pattern of the economic development that we have observed on the surface, you will definitely going to observe that yes, some area of some countries are developed too much as compared to rest part of the world. If we are talking about the Canada, if we are talking about the America, Japan, Austria, these are the countries they are more developed than rest part of the world, or you are saying that it is too much developed as compared to African and Asian country. If in case of the Maharashtra, you will see that the part of the western Maharashtra is as too much developed as compared to Vidarbha and the Marathwada. It means what? Such type of the differences we observe in economic development. So in this subject, we study what are the reasons behind such type of the unbalanced economic development that we did study detail in our economic geography. It also studies the transportation, trade routes, the trade resulting from the differential development and as affected by the physical environment. This is a very important thing, because you know that student that the trade, transport, communication and everything is affected mainly by physical environment. I just mentioned of the various type of the factor that we included in the physical environment. It may be physiography, it may be geology, it may be climate, the climate of that particular region, drainage pattern, forest, then we have the minerals, resources, everything. So all these factors are directly or indirectly affect on the development of the trade, transport, or the other communication facility, or you can say the different of the infrastructure that are available in that particular area. If this infrastructure is available infrastructure is suitable, then definitely it will be helpful for the development of the economic activity. Therefore, this also studied detail in this subject. Dear student, the most of the geographers have defined the scope and the method of economic geography in terms of three basic questions. The first question is, where is economic activity located? Means it may be primary or secondary or the tertiary activity or other the quaternary or quinary activity. The first question is the raise, that is where is the economic activity is located. That location is very important. And second question is, what are the characteristics of that economic activity? And last one is that to what other phenomena in economic activity related. Means when we answer these three questions, then when we try to answer the three questions, then these all things, that whatever the material or whatever the content we have related to these three questions, that we study in our economic geography. So therefore, student, this is a very important part. Some economic geographer raise that when we try to answer these three questions, and definitely their answer is an important part of our scope of economic geography. Dear student, this was today's lecture. In this lecture, we try to discuss the scope of economic geography. When we study the scope of economic geography, that time it means what type of the content, what type of the factor that we study in economic geography, or when we are going to study the economic geography, that type, this main thing I just mentioned, all these factors as a part and parcel of economic geography. Therefore, when we are talking about the scope of economic geography, it means what are the content, what are the factors, what are the chapters that we included in the economic geography. The study of all these factors is known as scope of economic geography. Dear student, this was today's lecture. In next lecture, we are going to discuss the recent trend in economic geography and also the approaches of economic geography. Till that, goodbye. Thank you.